You wake with a shiver. Stone sweats in the cold, and your chamber, high within the tower of Château de Vincennes, breathes frost into your lungs. The embroidered canopy above your bed sways gently, as if whispering to the dawn that has not yet arrived. Beneath your silk coverlet, your body aches, not from injury, but from the weight of stillness, the burden of pretending. The palace is silent, but never truly at rest. Someone is always watching. You are Marguerite of Burgundy, daughter of a duke, wife to the Dauphin of France, the future King Louis X. But you are not free. In this world of stained glass and silver plate, of cloistered gardens and sacristy whispers, your title is a noose of gold. You were married not for love, nor even politics, but for permanence. Your womb is a vault, your beauty a commodity, and yet, within your breast beats a heart that remembers laughter. The air in the royal court is a perfumed rot. King Philip IV, your father-in-law, rules with the unblinking eyes of a statue. They call him the Iron King, and rightly so. He smiles only when bleeding an enemy, prays only to silence, and governs as though France itself were a chessboard carved from the bones of traitors. His wars have drained the coffers. His vendettas have darkened the sky. The Templars were his latest prey, those warrior monks who once guarded Christendom's secrets. Their Grand Master, Jacques de Molay, burned alive in March, and as the flames licked his robes, he called out a curse on Philip, on his bloodline, on the church itself. You remember the tremor in the air when the pyre was lit, how the smoke curled toward heaven like a black finger of accusation. They say de Molay named your king with his final breath. They say the gods listened, but curses are the language of the powerless. You have your own curse. You live it each day in this palace, behind lace and etiquette, imprisoned in luxury. Your husband smells of sweat and horses. He drinks too much, gropes too hard, and laughs at cruelty. He does not speak to you unless to command. And when he does, his voice is not that of a man, but of a dynasty. You are not alone in your suffering. Jean and Blanche, your sisters by marriage, share this cold stage with you. 3 princesses, 3 chess pieces. You walk the same galleries, so beside the same tapestries, pray in the same chapel. And somewhere beneath the veils and pearls, you each carry your rebellion. Tiny flames against the cold. It is in that secret warmth that your heart first quickened. For Philippe of Aunis, a night in your husband's household. His voice was like warm wine, his eyes not cast down. He looked at you as though you were real. The affair was not planned. It began with a glance, a word, a gloved touch too long on your sleeve. Then came the letters, hidden beneath a tray of tarts, sewn into the lining of a gown. Your sister-in-law Blanche, too, fell to this forbidden hope, her heart caught by Gautier, Philippe's brother. You do not speak of it, not even to each other, but you know, it is your only truth in a world of masquerades. The danger of desire is not its heat, but its trail. A scarf misplaced, a ring admired, a servant's glance too sharp. And now, on this brittle morning, as you rise to dress for mass, there is something new in the stillness. The servants do not meet your eyes. A guard lingers too long at the threshold, and from the corridor you hear it, the rustle of mail, the hiss of a whispered name, the hush before a storm, and suddenly the walls feel closer, the cold, sharper. You do not yet know that the king has eyes everywhere, that Isabel, your sister-in-law in England, has written of your secret to her father, that he has set a trap to ensnare the shadows clinging to your heart. But you feel it, in your bones. Your breath shortens. You touch the velvet at your throat, as if to anchor yourself, because this morning is not like the others. This morning, the reckoning begins. You do not sleep again. By nightfall, the corridors are no longer corridors, they are tunnels, listening chambers. Every footstep echoes like judgment. When you cross the marble floor of the chapel, the candles hiss as though they know. Every prayer that leaves your lips turns to smoke before it reaches heaven. And then the summons comes. You are led, not with violence, but with civility too careful to be sincere, through vaulted galleries, past guards who won't meet your eyes, past Blanche and Jean, who walk behind you like ghosts. You do not speak. You do not cry. Queen does neither. But your fingers, those traitors, tremble like leaves in a dying wind. The room is smaller than you expected. Not a court, a cell dressed in finery. At its center, your father-in-law sits, King Philip IV, the Iron King, a man more stone than flesh. His gaze does not pierce you. It dissects. You are not accused. You are already condemned. They do not ask what you did. They ask when, how often, with whom. There is no interest in truth, only in confession. A servant's word has become scripture, a lover's gift, damning relic. And when you deny, they smile, as if you have simply failed the test. The brothers, Philippe and Gautier, are dragged before you days later. Or weeks. Time has gone strange. One limps. The other's face is a swollen bruise. But it is not the bruises that shake you. It is their eyes. They are afraid to look at you, afraid to protect you. They do not deny. Under iron and fire and twisted rope, even saints would weep their sins. The Ani brothers confess everything, real or imagined. It doesn't matter. You hear of their sentence through the whisper chain of maids. Castration, flaying, boiling in oil, a death fit for devils. You cannot weep for them. There are no tears left, only silence like packed snow. When they are executed, it is a spectacle. The people cheer, the court preens, and still your husband does not come to you. Louis the Quarreler, your husband king, who never saw you as more than a vessel. You thought he might rage. He does not. He dismisses. You are not his grief. You are his shame. Then come the shears. Your hair, once the pride of Burgundy, falls in clumps to the stone floor. A nun watches. You are redressed, not in mourning robes but in wool too coarse for your skin. You are no longer a queen. You are no longer a wife. You are taken to Château Gaillard, once a jewel of Richard the Lionheart's warcraft, now a ruin perched above the Seine. There are no tapestries here, no music, only the wind clawing at the shutters and rats that worship no crown. Blanche comes with you. Her eyes no longer move. Jean is sent elsewhere. Some say she was spared. Others whisper it was her rank, not her innocence, that saved her. In your cell, you count stones. You remember voices. You forget your own. Days blur. Seasons vanish. Sometimes you dream of Philippe's hands, of laughter beneath stars. But dreams are cruel. They vanish with the morning frost. Years pass. Philip IV dies suddenly in a hunting accident, thrown from his horse as though the very earth rejected him. They say Jacques de Molay's curse has begun its work. His son Louis, your husband, reigns for a heartbeat and dies. Philip V follows. Then Charles IV. All gone within 14 winters. No heirs. No legacy. The Cape Tion line fractures. And France, wounded and directionless, bleeds toward war. But no one speaks your name. You who were the kindling. You who lit the fire with nothing but longing and a whisper in the dark. The world remembers kings. But in the shadows of castles, in the corners of prayer books, the scribes sometimes pause. They remember the Tower of Nesle. They remember the princesses. And you remain behind stone as history reshapes itself around your silence. The curse is working, but it does not free you. Winter returns. You feel it first in your joints, where cold seeps into bone as if trying to claim you from the inside out. Château Gaillard, that decaying fortress of kings, is no place for the living. And yet you are still here, forgotten, not executed, not pardoned, just shelved, as though your very breath is an inconvenience to the throne. Outside your cell, France tears itself open. Philip IV is long dead. His sons followed him into the grave like dominoes falling in slow, inevitable procession. None bore sons who could reign. The Cape Tion line, proud and ancient, has ended, not with a war, not with glory, but with whispers in a tower, with the dreams of 3 women burned into dust. They call it a curse. Some say the moment Jacques de Molay was tied to the stake and flames kissed his robes, he cursed the king, cursed his blood, cursed you all. And now the court speaks of divine punishment, of justice from heaven, of prophecy fulfilled. But curses are stories the powerful tell when their walls crack and they cannot explain why. You know better. It wasn't sorcery that killed the Capetians. It was silence, fear. A palace that taught its daughters to smile and obey but never to live. It was a crown so obsessed with lineage that it forgot its heirs were flesh. It was a woman, no, 3 women, starved of affection, walled in gold, and denied the dignity of being seen. You think of Blanche. She never spoke again, not after the transfer from Gaillard to Maubuisson Abbey. Her mind withered long before her body did. When she died, no bell tolled, no candles were lit, just a record in a ledger and a new grave with no name. Jean survived longest. She returned to court, married again, bore a child. But every time she sat at the banquet table, every time a servant bowed, they whispered. Her name became a joke, cautionary tale. She lived, but was never allowed to forget she once loved wrongly. And you, Marguerite, you did not live to see Louis become king. He was crowned without you, and within a year he was dead, some say poisoned. Others, sickened by the weight of a crown inherited through ghosts. He remarried before the soil even hardened over your prison. Your name was erased from the chronicles, replaced with silence. A quiet annulment, a replacement queen, but memory is stubborn. The people remember, not in sermons or scrolls, but in songs sung beneath the breath, in stories told by old women stirring soup. They say a queen once loved a knight, and for that, the king's blood turned to dust. They say 3 women lit a fire so bright it scorched the throne. They say the Tower of Nesle still weeps, and beyond that, history itself remembers. It does not call you heroines. It does not absolve, but it records your trace, the scent of defiance on the breath of a dying century. France plunged into chaos, the throne contested, and from that fracture came the 100 Years' War. A century of blood spilled not for glory, but because no one thought a woman could inherit a crown. But 3 women had already shattered one. And now, the bones of kings lie alongside those of servants. Stone crumbles, names fade, but somewhere, in the heart of every broken oath and every burning tower, there is a whisper that sounds like yours. You were called sinner, but you were the spark. You were the storm. And though no statue bears your likeness, and no scripture records your truth, your silence became prophecy. Your name may be forgotten, but your shadow still walks the halls of time.